are some newer business organizational forms known as limited liability companies, LLCs is what we call them. I'm sure you've heard of them. Limited liability partnerships, LLPs, and professional corporations, which are known as PCs. Okay, each type of business entity involves different relationships. They all have different relationships. They all definitely have different rights. They all have different obligations and different regulatory schemes. So your first step as a paralegal is to know what are the rights and duties for an LLC. If a client walks in the office and would like to form an LLC, your first job is to see what are the rules and regulations. Is there federal regulations? Is there state of California regulations, right? So that's the first thing you want to do. And once you find the regulations, you may want to keep them in a folder or file them because you never know. If you continue to get LLC clients coming into the office, you now have them at your fingertips, right? All the regulations and so forth, okay? So as a paralegal, you will want to know what rights and duties are associated with each of these entities when you work on behalf of the clients. What are their rights and what will be their duties? There will be even times when clients will ask you, well, they're unsure what type of business they want to form. Well, if you know the rights and duties and you know the pros and cons of businesses, and you have a checklist, you can always if you're working with the attorney, you can hand it over to the attorney, and then the client would have an idea and a little bit of information about each form of business and be able to make a better, guess of what they want to do. And then we get the attorney's opinion too. So the attorney will tell them the ins and outs too, but you, the paralegal, might create a document to help the attorney. Okay, let's look at our example here. Your firm, this one's example 18.1 in your book, by the way, everyone. Your firm represents a person injured in a traffic accident involving a delivery van. Okay. So what is this, everybody? Someone's injured in a traffic accident. What type of firm are you working for? Put it in the chat. What's the type of firm you're working for if your firm represents a person injured in a traffic accident? Go ahead. What do you guys think? Yes, it's definitely an injury firm. Yes, it's definitely personal injury, but not what I'm looking for. What type of law does personal injury fall into? Thank you. A tort. Good job, Liz. Yeah, torts, everyone. Torts, okay? You will need to determine the type of business entity that owns the van in order to file a suit. So you, the paralegal, will have to put on your investigative hat, right? And determine the type of business entity that owns the van. Okay, you have to go through all those search engines that we learned in past chapters. You need to go on social media, however you need to find out what type of van or what type of business is this so we can know who owns the van, right? You can either get the name of the business if your client has it. Any information you can get from your client's going to help your investigative skills a little bit better, right? So start there, put a questionnaire out for your client. So a sign on the van may say Smith Produce. That's just a sign on the van, okay? But the van may be owned by Smith Brothers LLC, which is likely to be the defendant in an action. And remember, we talk a lot about this. You have to sue the correct company, the correct name. There's a lot of companies that have certain things on their vans or their work trucks, and those are not the owners of the van or the work truck. So that is your investigative skills come into effect so that you can sue, right? You can give the attorney the right idea of who this is. Is it a corporation, LLC? Is it under a lot of different names? Okay. For example, who would you sue if you're suing Walmart? Right? That's a good example. Look it up. Who would you put as the defendant when you're filling out your complaint? Who would you put? Okay. So that's just a perfect example of your investigative skills here for corporations. I'm sorry, for starting a business. So what type of business are they? Who are they? What are their names? All of that good stuff. Okay. So different business entities may be appropriate for different purposes. Businesses may be a collection of related entities.